Hello and welcome to Street Mansion. In my last video, which was the big reveal of my next project, which is the closet renovation, I showed you some treasures that I found in there. That got me wanting to talk about all of the other treasures that I have found in and around our super old house. So if you have been following me on Instagram for a while, you have probably seen this box right here, which is my treasure box. I ended up finding this box maybe like a day or two after I saw a reel from the account Office of Collecting. They are a museum based out of Las Vegas, and they, if you love tiny treasures and just like junk in general, not even like junk, just like trinkets. If you like trinkets, Office of Collecting, they're amazing. Their photos are just, it reminds me a lot of when I used to go to the beach all the time and like make little beach treasure layouts. So that super appeals to me. I love that account. And they posted a reel about something that somebody had donated to the museum, which was like, I'm remembering this off the top of my head. I haven't looked at it in a while. I want to say it was like a little like tackle box. Inside of the tackle box, there was a piece of wood that had like holes specifically made for what was being displayed in the box, and I loved it. I was obsessed with it. So when I went to the thrift store and saw this box, I was like, yes, it's on, we're doing this. Bought this box, I gutted it, I cleaned it up. It was so gross to like try to get rid of that stuff. I used all sorts of like weird degluing products that were stinky. But I ended up getting it clean and I sanded it down and stained it. And this is what we've got. Before I open it up and show you what it looks like, I want to ramble some more and show you some more footage of like the process of getting my vision to come to life. So as I've mentioned before, the original kitchen layout had been tweaked before we bought the house, and somebody was smart enough to save all of that wood in the basement, which is awesome. And we reused a lot of it to make cabinets, and also there was just lots of like little scraps. When I saw this box and I had seen that tackle box with the piece of wood, I knew that I was going to reuse some of the original wood that was in the kitchen. Once again, just like my kitchen shelves, I opted not to sand it down completely. I wanted to keep some of the paint colors. I love the fact that the kitchen has been so many paint colors over the years. So I like the idea of keeping some of those visible. I sanded that down and cut it to size so that it fit directly in the box. And then it was time to start making holes for my treasures. I used my router to cut out shapes like perfectly. So I would put the items like on the wood and then trace and then cut that out with the router. It was really fun, a little bit time consuming, and I'm sure there was probably an easier way to do it with like a CNC machine or some sort of, fancy thing like that. But it was really fun and satisfying to do. Removing all of the like sticky yuck that held the silverware and stuff left kind of a gross surface on the wood. So I actually took a scrap of wallpaper from upstairs and I glued that into the top so that when you opened up the lid, there would be wallpaper showcased. I think that's all of the footage I have of like the process that I want to share with you. So let's like open this bad boy up and I can show you what's inside and talk to you about some of the items. So here it is. Here's that wallpaper. I lined it with Ficky Stelt. I lined it with sticky felt so that you couldn't see the gross edges. Let's take a closer look at some of the objects that are inlaid into the wood. I don't obviously have a ton of information about each one, but at the bare minimum, I can tell you where I found some of them. So let's dig in. So I was gonna say, I'm gonna start with my favorite thing, but I have two favorites here. One favorite is this metal airplane, which we found metal detecting in the yard. My nephew found it. I know I talked about this in a past metal detecting video, that like my nephew is so cool and so smart and he's so amazing and he's so good at metal detecting. So he was excited when we bought a very old house and he brought over his metal detector like right away. And I don't remember how long into us living here he found this, but he ended up finding this plane, and we always try to be like, oh yeah, you can keep whatever you find here, but like, no, this is so cool. It's one of my favorites. My other favorite is this tin soldier here. This was found by a metal detector who the previous owner let come metal detect the property. It was made by a company called Minoil, or Manoil. They were actually only in business from 1935 to 1959, so this is quite old, and I think that's really cool. I wish he had a head, but he still has a tiny bit of paint left on him. I think this is one of the coolest things. It's got so much heft to it. I know I mentioned this very briefly at the beginning, but when I was really into going to the beach and looking for like weird little treasures, one of my favorite things to find was always toy soldiers. There are always lots of little army men on the beach, and they were my favorite to find. I still have a collection of them. I think it's really fun when like one interest kind of like ties into another. So this is really cool. I wish we had found it, but I'm so happy that we have it. So this is a pocket knife that we found in the front garden. It is completely rusted shut, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, it goes in the box. This funny little chipmunk here, I actually found him very shortly after we moved. I don't think he's old. I think he's from like a board game or something. I'm not sure. But the previous owner had left us a vacuum upstairs, and when I started vacuuming with it, I heard this like weird rattle. So I like took the vacuum apart, and out fell this little chippy. I love him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think he's old, but I feel very attached to this chipmunk just because it reminds me of when we first bought, and like, I don't know, the excitement of moving here. I found this Polly Pocket when I was planting some flowers. I'm pretty sure this is for insulin, but I just love the shape of the bottle. So I have this ring here that is absolutely just costume jewelry, but Jeff and I found this in the front yard when we were metal detecting, and I cannot tell you what it feels like to find something round and gold when you're metal detecting. Of course, I wish it was real gold. It's still fun, and I remember like how it felt to like to share that moment with my husband, and wish that we hit the jackpot. Anyway, I think that's really cool. We've got a whole bunch of keys in here that were just found metal detecting. I have a little container over here, just off camera, full of other little treasures that like didn't really make the cut for this. And I think there's more keys over there because we just keep finding keys, which, listen, I love keys, so not complaining. And I do have one secret. I have a confession to make. This right here was not found at our house, but I didn't know that. So my husband had a big box of like metal detecting junk finds, just like nails and this and that. He really hadn't done much metal detecting other than on our property, so I didn't realize that there could be anything in that container that wasn't from the house. So when I went through the metal detecting box and found all the cool treasures that I wanted to add to this was one of the things I grabbed because it's cool. It's like covered in like gems, and I don't know what it is. It's neat. I like it. And I got this all like put together, and I made a little slot just for that. And then when I showed my husband the box, he was like, you know that's not from the house, right? And I was, no, it doesn't matter. It's going there. It already has a spot. Eventually, I would love to find something that fits perfectly in its little space, or in a space that's a little bit bigger that I can like carve out for it. But for now, we just pretend. What else do I know about? Just some more metal detecting finds. We've got a bell. This is a part of a toy gun. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. That's it that I have to like comment on. When I shared a reel about this in the past, as I was like building it, someone commented that they thought it would be cool to see me completely empty it out and put everything back in like one by one. So I have done that for you. I didn't empty it out on camera just because I take out like the fragile things and then I just flip it. But I do think that putting it all back in here is so cool. It's like a puzzle. Like I just love it. I think it's really fun. So here's that. all of this stuff here is worthless. I do have some older pennies here that are worth probably a little bit more than a penny, but not too much. But honestly, it's literally all garbage, but I love it so. I think it's really cool to just like collect this stuff and collect little pieces. I love this house so much. I am so madly in love with it. So I just love collecting little scraps of her existence and saving them. I wanted to be able to access underneath of the piece of wood, but I wanted that to be easy and not like having to like claw at it. So I actually had a handle that was from the kitchen, and I put that in here so that it can just be lifted like this. Da-da-da. Inside of here, I have some wallpaper scraps, and I have the note from the hidden hole in the floor upstairs that says, yeah, this house is pretty epic, except I think it might be haunted, but not in a bad way. But they close and open doors and stupid stuff like that. Anyways, here's a water bottle cap, because why not? So this was from the previous owner's daughter. I thought that was really cute, and it's part of the house now. It's history. I also have the original owner of the house. I have his obituary, which I think is so cool. He was one of my city's oldest and best known citizens who had been in feeble health for the past 7 weeks. He died at 12 o'clock Tuesday night at the family residence. Death resulted from heart disease and the infirmaries of old age. He had lived his entire life in the township and was known as a man possessing many fine traits of character. For his entire life, he was a farmer, devoting most of his time to the stock raising and shipping a great deal of stock to Buffalo and other eastern markets. Had he lived until Thursday, he would have seen his 57th wedding anniversary. He is survived by a widow and 3 children. He leaves no brothers or sisters, the last of his family. The funeral will be held on Friday at 2 p.m. from the home. You think he haunts this place? Are you looking at me? I also have more wallpaper scraps. I have the census here, a copy of it obviously, from 1860. That's all in there, and I would like to continue to add to that with more paper things relating to the house. This box is still a work in progress. As you may have noticed, I do have a space up here where I have room to keep adding like little treasures. But I also have this whole drawer here, and I haven't put it back together because I want to put wallpaper on the bottom of it. And then I'm not really sure what my plan for the drawer is. I might do like another piece of wood and continue this, or it just might be like loose odds and ends. But as you can see, when I pulled out the drawer, I have a few more things that I want to put in the box, or maybe aren't like worthy of a spot in the box, like a specific little cutout, but are still neat. Just some pottery shards, and like I don't think this is old, this like weird little light bulb, but it's cute and I found it, so like it has to live in here, you know? Also, actually, where I'm right here, I'm gonna grab this. We can put this weird little thing I found in the closet in there. You know, I just want to keep adding more things to it. I'm still continually adding more treasures and hoping that there are still more things to find in the yard and in the walls and in the floorboards. Another thing that I definitely want to do is make a key for the objects. As I've mentioned like 5 times in this video already, I don't have a ton of information about these objects. Obviously, how could I? But I do think that I could give little tidbits about where I found them or who found them, or just like little things that might be interesting to a future owner. Because honestly, somebody who lived here, visited here, I don't know, drove by the house, they could tell me an observation about their time here and it would be riveting to me. I just want to know everything, and I have to assume that the next owner will be the same way because I'm not selling to anybody who isn't that way. So yeah, I think that's all that I have to share right now off the top of my head. If you have any questions about the treasures, I will try to answer them as best as I can, but otherwise that is all. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of my stupid old house junk. I'll see you next time. Fingers crossed I find more treasure soon.